Good morning. It's great to have such a full room. It's filling in. We have a nice line yet out the door, and we're going to try to get some of those folks in here as we begin. We have some introductory remarks from a few of us this morning. I know many of you, but not all of you. My name is Craig Benson, and I'm the Director of Sustainability Research and Education for campus and a co-director of the Office of Sustainability. And this is our second Sustainability Forum, an event that we intend on holding every spring on campus. And I think today is a great day to have this type of event. It's a beautiful, sunny, crisp January day in Wisconsin. And it's almost March. We're talking about climate change, right? So the theme is really relevant this year. We talked about climate change. Last year we talked about energy. We've talked about food before, and climate, though, has been our theme throughout the year. And climate change is a significant issue that we're going to have to deal with here in Wisconsin and Madison, but also around the world as well. There's an overabundance of evidence that climate change is coming, that it's anthropogenic, it's caused by man, and we're going to have to deal with it. And despite some perhaps politics and perhaps a few outliers, the science is pretty convincing. And so it really behooves us as a community to begin to think about how do we deal with climate change and start to plan accordingly. That might be in part mitigation, how we can change our society to reduce carbon emissions and reduce climate change, but it also probably has a lot to do with adaptation as well. And we need to be prepared for that. To not prepare for climate change just does not make sense. And to think that climate change is not real is almost analogous to thinking that cigarette smoking isn't unhealthy. I mean, the science is very, very clear in where things are going. We've had a lot of activity on campus on the past year related to climate change. We had a push for a divestment last spring for the University of Wisconsin Foundation to divest its resources from fossil fuels. That was an initiative that's not something that passed the faculty senate, but what it did is it catalyzed a discussion on campus. It brought people together to talk about these ideas, and instead of disparate parts around campus, it organized people to discuss it thoughtfully and collectively. And this last fall, we had a group of faculty that debated this issue about divestment and made a recommendation to the faculty senate, which was adopted. And the recommendation was not to divest, but it also made a strong recommendation that the campus needed to get a lot more engaged in creating solutions to climate change. And so I think you're going to see things in the next few years, particularly in the next year where we're going to be rolling out some things on campus. It'll be much more integrated activities related to addressing climate change. So that's a significant opportunity for us to harness our strengths into something in an area where we can make real impact. And that's really our greatest value on campus, is about making impact using our intellectual capacity. One of the nice things about this forum is it brings people from many different walks of life. You remember last year our forum was on energy, and we had faculty, students, staff, but we also had lots of people from the community as well. We had non-governmental organizations, we had local industries, we had large U.S. industries here that were represented and spoke at our forum. And the same is true today. We've got representatives from campus, we've got faculty and staff and students, but we also have local and state businesses. We've got state agencies, leadership from state agencies, and we've got some leaders from some of our local community organizations and from some of our local utility districts as well. We're going to have some very good discussion today with this broad cross-section of speakers that are here. We have a great program. You'll see this morning we have a few speakers that'll kick off with some kind of overarching remarks, and then we'll move forward into a series of rapid-fire, or pechakucha. Is that how you pronounce that? I always struggle with that. Kachka. All right. I anglicized it. But some of these kind of rapid-fire talks, which are very effective. But before we went into the next step, one of the things I'd like to do is just to do a little survey of the audience. How many people here are university faculty? How many are students? How many people are staff at the university? All right, great. A broad cross-section. How many people are from the Dane County community, but not a university employee or student? Great. NGOs? You're an NGO. How about state government? Okay. Anybody from the federal government? All right. Probably couldn't get a travel grant, right? All right. So what you see is a broad cross-section. It's really nice that we have a broad group of people here to have a dialogue about this important issue today. One other thing I wanted to mention before I turn this over to our next speaker is if you're interested, and for some of you like me, I'm a professional engineer here in Wisconsin, and to keep my license, I need to get credits for professional development activities. If you're interested in professional development hour credits for today, we'll have a sign-up sheet out at the registration desk. So if you're a PE or you have another type of license in Wisconsin that requires professional development credits, make sure you sign up for that and we'll get those out to you. So I'm going to turn the podium over to a really important and influential person on our campus. My co-director, Farmars Vakili, couldn't be here today, but we're very glad to have somebody from our operations side of campus speak in this forum. Rob Lampa is here with us. Rob's been on campus about a year, right? Came to us from Oberlin College, where he was a director of sustainability and involved in operations, and he's the director of our physical plant here on campus. And Rob's son is actually working in our office as well, so Thomas is with us too. So welcome you, Rob.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate the introduction, and I am very happy to be here. And my first year so far has been excellent. It's been wonderful to get to know the university to some level, although with 20-some million square feet and with 62,000 students, faculty, and staff, it takes a little bit to get to know everybody. So I'm just feel like I'm beginning my way on this. I wanted to talk a little bit this morning about, again, our role, not only from an operations standpoint, but as an institution with regard to climate change, because as Craig mentioned, you know, this is real. It is going to be with us. We are going to have to deal with it either from a mitigation or an adaptation standpoint, and I think the debate is pretty much over. I believe even in the last State of the Union address, President Obama had mentioned, he's saying, the debate is done. You know, we need to start working on how we address these issues. And it is a global challenge. They don't call it global warming or climate change or whatever for no reason at all, because everything that happens across the globe, from communications all the way to the actual greenhouse gases that are emitted, impact everybody. And depending where you are in the world, whether you're in an area of low-lying land where you might be inundated, such as Bangladesh or the Maldives, in the event that the seas rise, this is going to affect people significantly. So, because all of us are affected and we are all going to be having to work on it, it is our responsibility to do this. The time for debate, like I said, is over. That was just a delaying tactic. And on a personal level, and as world citizens and as leaders of educational institutions, it is our responsibility to work with students, to work with other faculty, staff, institutions, research, to try to work on how we begin to address these things. Because we are educating the next generation, and the next generation has a lot of wonderful energy, and with the 4 campuses that I've worked on now, one of the most inspiring things has been all of the young people there and how interested they are coming to the institution. We've had places where we've had more freshmen interested in sustainability than seniors at the beginning. And they're coming in and they're wanting to volunteer and they're wanting to do something. So we need to take that energy and help it grow, help nurture it in a lot of ways so they can become citizens that will help to contribute to how we address this issue. But it's going to take, this isn't going to be business as usual. We will have to think differently, we will have to live differently, we will have to start to say, how do we start changing our culture from an extremely energy-intensive culture to one that will be less so? And we need to start thinking about what are really the things that make us satisfied in life. What are the things that I really need to be happy or to be satisfied? And is it all the stuff that we purchase and consume all the time and all the energy we use, or is it something that we can be more happy with it? So we need a strategy. Again, it's easy to sit and talk about it. The most difficult thing is everybody says the devil's in the details, or how we go about doing this is the difficult part. Because I think everybody pretty much can feel that, yes, we have to do something, but rather than wringing our hands, we have to start saying, how do we take our words and turn them into action? And do it from the standpoint where there's going to be value, because we don't have unlimited resources to be able to address this. I think there may come a time when this country and other places will realize that we have to take whatever resources we have, no matter how many they are. But at this point, to get the thing rolling, we still have plenty of people who are saying, well, that's okay, but it's an add-on, and if I spend my money there, I'm not going to be able to spend it over here. And what aren't we going to do because we're going to do this instead? So we have to start to get past some of that. The best thing we can do is do things that have the most value. So again, from a standpoint, we need to say, what can we control? And if we can control it, we can decide, hey, let's just use what we need only when we need it. And that way, we're making the best use of the resource that we have. And then with those resources, how do we deliver it efficiently, produce it efficiently, and deliver it efficiently? And then if we can come through and say what materials, what kind of energy, whatever we can have that is renewable, recyclable, sustainable, so that we can do it. And then we need to invest, whether we are investing resources into energy elsewhere, because the university does purchase some renewable energy credits, but they aren't made here locally. They're made in another state, and we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. Or we can decide to do some of this work ourselves. You take a look at the energy strategy, the biggest bang we get, the most value dollars we have, is how we change our behaviors to conserve and in the first place. Then the next amount is how can we make things efficient? But as far as efficiency goes, all that does is move the curve back, because we'll have an energy use curve that starts like this, and with efficiency, we can pretty much continue to use energy because the efficiency will level it off, but at some point, we won't be able to be more efficient, and it'll start to go up again. So it just is taking the curve and delaying it a few years. We really need to start to take a look and say, just because it's efficient doesn't mean I can use more of it. Because if you think behavior doesn't matter, it does. We can have the best technology, the most efficient technology and systems that we have, but if our behavior doesn't match and utilize it the best, we can't make the most effect of it. Typically on a campus like this, energy consumed is about 90 to 90% of our carbon footprint. Transportation, commuting, and solid waste really are, and food are really somewhat small pieces. And yet a lot of our student activity and efforts and everything go to talking about food and solid waste and recycling, transportation, and what we can do, all those things. And those things are really important, and they do matter. But the biggest piece of our footprint here really comes back to the energy that we use, both for electricity and then for all the heating and cooling that we have. We Can Serve has been a part of the UW physical plant for a number of years. I believe it was conceived in the mid-2000s, and since that time has done a lot of work to try to reduce the amount of energy consumed on campus. If you take a look at the blue line here, the blue line shows kind of an increase in the number of square feet of buildings on campus. And you can see from fiscal year 06 to fiscal year 13, there's been a steady rise in the increase of new buildings. New buildings like this one, the Wisconsin Energy Institute, the Union South right across the street. They're all big and wonderful buildings, but they're all in addition to what we had. Now, if you take a look at the red curve coming down on the other side, that is total energy consumption across the campus. So though we have been increasing our footprint, which is about 15% more square feet than we had before, we've been decreasing our energy. And since 2006, we have decreased our total energy consumption on campus by 19%. That is an amazing amount, an amazing trajectory, and there are very few campuses that can show that when they add buildings, they actually reduce total energy. So We Can Serve, and the work that they've done along with the state has made a huge difference in the energy that we use. We worked with the state and spent approximately $60 million across campus for energy efficiency work, and as you can see, it's paying off. And that's due to our partnership with the Department of Administration at the state and university to make this happen. So we get our electricity, which is mostly coal, over half of it's from coal-fired, and it's only about 30% efficient, from Madison Gas and Electric. And of our total electric usage, it's actually closer to 15 to 16% that we buy renewable energy credits. Those are wind credits that are probably from wind farms in Iowa or Illinois or Indiana or Texas, depending where MG&E, Madison Gas and Electric, buys that from. But we are making a difference because the investment we make in those renewable energy credits goes to finance energy projects across the country. And though it isn't local, we'd love to have it local, it still does make a difference, because as you look at the beginning of my discussion, we talked about the fact that this is a global issue. So we've converted our heating plant from coal-fired to completely natural gas. It's 44% less greenhouse gas emissions from that. We operate it year-round. We use a little bit of number 2 oil and provide centralized steam across the campus. Some of the efficiency work we've done across campus have been indoor lighting projects. We are putting in more LEDs. In fact, I can boast that the new LED lighting that we just put in the Chancellor's office is the largest collection of that new technology anywhere in the country. I have a good relationship with somebody who works closely with General Electric, and we were able to get a number of 100-watt equivalent LED bulbs that nobody else in the country has at this point. So we were able to put that in there. She doesn't even know this perhaps, but that is what happened. So anyway, it's pretty exciting if you're in the Chancellor's office and you say, hey, it's a lot brighter. It's a lot brighter for a lot less electricity. We have also on Bascom Hill are converting our exterior lighting to LED. If you walk up and down Bascom Hill at night, you've probably noticed the light is very white and it's different than it was before. Well, we are slowly converting a number of lights across campus from high-pressure sodium and metal halide to LED. Also, parking lot 60 and some other areas are taken care of. And by the time we get done with this, we could have energy savings for up to another 10 to 15%. We're doing work on our building envelopes. We're doing work on our motors and our pumps to put variable frequency drives for those, which are more energy efficient means of using that. And we're upgrading our heating and cooling systems. And we have a number of LEED certified or green built buildings on campus. This building being one of them, which has been certified at the LEED Gold level. Union South is another. The Wisconsin Energy Institute is one. The new Sohi building is one. Transportation-wise, we have campus shuttles, we have car sharing, we have parking racks, we have van pools and carpools, and we even have hybrid vehicles and biodiesel. So we are pretty much addressing the bulk of the transportation needs here, and everybody in facilities planning and management, including the transportation department, is on board with trying to make this as effective as possible. And lastly, solid waste. I want you to take a look at the curves here. The blue line on top is our total amount going to the landfill. You can see it peaked somewhere around 2006, and since then we've been slowly reducing our total volume to the landfill. Some of our paper and our commingles have been relatively flat, but the big thing is there's been a big increase in composting, and due to a lot of the good work of Frank Kuistra and other people in We Can Serve, and been a big push along with the dining services to make this composting. As you can see, the small line at the bottom there, you can see we've started composting in 2009, and it's just slowly increasing. Doing what we can, where we can, but we can do so much more, and it's our responsibility to do so much more. But we need to band together as a total institution and make this completely an institutional initiative to do it. Thank you very much for listening to my comments this morning, and I'd like to introduce the next speaker, who is one of our student leaders and leads in the area of the Office of Sustainability, Colin Higgins.
So, good morning, everyone. And thank you, Mr. Lampa, for those remarks on the UW's operational sustainability and sort of the direction we're headed. My name is Colin Higgins, and I'm the student leader and program coordinator here at the OS, Office of Sustainability. In my spare time, I'm also a junior here, studying history, geography, and environmental studies. And I'm here today to briefly touch on the many ways we're engaging students in sustainability on campus. One of the most evident ways we're doing this is through our internship program with the OS. This past summer, we had 15 interns working on projects ranging from waste management, reducing waste during the infamous moving days period, August 14th to 16th, where pretty much the whole campus moves, all the students anyhow, to working on the office's communications message. Many interns stuck around over the fall and worked on our metrics project, documenting the quantitative and qualitative ways that the university is sort of becoming more sustainable, changing its practices, and what we're doing now. Presently, we have 14 interns who are working on projects all over campus, and they're studying things ranging from political science to biology. So it's a broad swath of campus students we're engaging. 3 crucial engagement projects happening right now. The first is Campus Conservation Nationals. This is the second year we're doing this. It relates very heavily to climate change. It's a nationwide energy reduction competition that happens throughout the residence halls, both educating students on why energy reduction is important and trying to get them to sort of instill these practices in them. This year, we've working closely with housing, we've pioneered a new strategy called Conservation Captains, and these are sort of residents who live within each res hall, and they sort of work on developing new ways of educating and engaging the students they live with to save energy, and also at the same time cultivating new leaders. Recyclemania, pretty much the same thing. Okay. Recyclemania is pretty much the same thing, but for waste management and increasing recycling. And both of these are contests. CCN goes to March 15th, this to March 31st. The third thing, not a competition, but it's the Sustainability Lunch Hour, and this is for undergraduates engaged in research to come and present, sort of show off what they're doing. The first one will be happening tomorrow at noon in room 175 of Science Hall. Refreshments will be provided, and if you're at all interested, I'd highly recommend checking it out. Another engagement venue that I was intimately involved with is called Topics, Taking on Possibilities in Campus Sustainability. It's a discussion forum very similar to this. It started in April, but was sort of institutionalized last December. And it engages students, faculty, and staff from around campus talking about these sort of controversial issues or hot button issues. This last one was on food sourcing and where we get our food and sort of what that means for campus. But this event came to be largely because of the Sustainability Council, which is a group of 25 student organizations from working on things ranging from corporate responsibility to ecological restoration to student government. We get together sort of once a month to collaborate and work on new initiatives, Topics being one of them. It's also proved a really good breeding ground for ASM's new, they have a new green fund, which the office has helped advise. It's $80,000 and it's allocated through competitive grants for student-driven projects. And it'll be starting this April. So I think my time is coming to a close. So I'll just say this is only a glimpse at the many projects that the office does to engage students. But bringing it back to today, 2 logistical notes. There is a bucket or a box outside that left door right where you came in, and if you won't be here for the whole day, I encourage you to put your program in there so we can reuse them throughout the day so we can be as sustainable as possible. And then the office will also be giving out water bottles throughout the day, so I encourage you just to be on the lookout for opportunities to get them. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Daryl Bazell, the Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administration here at the UW, whose foresight and effort helped get the office off the ground and thus all of the engagement opportunities I just mentioned. So I'll hand it over.